and I have our the notes that I take during the meeting on the left, right below you, everybody. So I think that's cool. Oh hey, we're live.
We are live.
Let me mute this. You're muted. You're not coming through on the stream.
I am not muted. It was on the wrong source.
Oh, I sounded really echoey on the stream.
You sound very echoey.
Weird.
Wonder why I'm the only one that sounds echoey. Everyone else is good.
I don't know.
Well, actually, I see that now.
Hold on.
Oh, Bill sounds like a robot.
Okay.
Domo arigato, Mr. Babato.
Everybody should be back to normal now. I had to mute everybody's audio as it came in.
Testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2.
Whoa, he still sounds really weird. Do you guys hear that on the stream?
Sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I'm still pretty tinny.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. It sounded like he's coming from a tin can. I sound okay now. Scott, can you give us a poem?
A poem? Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
He sounds good too.
Check, baby, 1, 2. Check, baby, check.
This is the quality content that everybody's here for.
I know.
We got a new setup. We got to go through it, man. I did as much testing as we could possibly muster beforehand.
Oof. Okay, I need to turn that down for a second. Just keep getting lots of echo.
Okay, now I've got Bill's turned off now too, so it should be.
All right, Bill, serenade us.
What I was trying to say when I first started the conversation was the fact that you're fucking prots.
That's perfect.
Perfect. And because of all the extra testing, I had to friggin' get my dinner late, so woohoo! Yeah. Man alive. Well, I mean the new setup is working though right now. I freaking like it.
What was that?
This is so weird though.
What's weird?
Twitch is playing through my computer speakers, not my...
I was hearing it come through.
Yeah.
So weird. Skype is like overriding some of my stuff.
Well, this is going to be a fun one because we left it at a very interesting moment last time.
Yeah, you did.
Let's see.
Oh, my camera thing.
Advertising at us.
Don't tell me.
To me on the stream. Did you see I just shrank?
Yeah,
Is that what you're talking about when he like moves around?
that's one of the things that happens, yes.
I'm like wondering if my camera's trying to... It did it
Whoa,
again.
you got tiny. You became a little square, and you're big again.
Yep.
So we're just gonna accept that and move on.
Just...
Did you change your microphone, Scott? Like which microphone you were using? Because before you were coming in louder.
I think I know what's going on. Are you switching
What?
between sources, both audio and video? Between phone and PC?
It is funny to see him go, whoop!
Right? Like, tiny. Oh. How's that now?
You gotta talk more than just that now.
Does anything sound different from before?
Well,
Sounds
something did definitely change because you're small on the screen again.
And
we lost
the
D
end.
too.
No, that was me on purpose. Now you're back to
Oh.
normal.
Shocking.
That's so cool that you can control each video feed though. Like if you do your scenes and like other stuff like that, you can just like. Tick, tick, tick.
Yeah, I can control exactly who it is. That's so nice.
I like that.
Now,
Now,
last time on Shadows.
I have a question though. D, you can apply the effect to all of us, couldn't you?
What
like
effect?
the chroma key effect and stuff. Like if I had a green screen behind me, you could actually do that, couldn't you?
Yes, if it was behind you, I could do the same chroma key element as well. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. actually.
Yeah. Because I'm the one in control of that shit. There we go.
Getting it onto our classic.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is now time to initiate. God damn, the level of color on the freaking scene, man, it keeps drawing my eye over like, oh, it looks so cool. Like,
Yeah.
It looks really good.
1% every stream. We're gonna do it.
Well, that wasn't 1%. You jumped up like 4 or 5% at least.
Yeah.
Here, have a
wow.
marching penguins.
Well, we can see it, but nobody else can.
I know. That's fantastic.
Oh, that's fun.
Emote spam, yeah.
Bill's raising his hand. Yes, Bill. Are you sure you muted, Bill?
Yeah.
Practicing for when you're on Teams again.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do one of these. For everyone who can't see our screens, a banana just showed up on Scott's face.
A banana, eggplant, drop, drop, drop.
But that only shows up on
There's the special ones that they have like when you do the edit. There's like a bunch of Christmassy ones, and then there's a beer one. I want to try that one. Let's see.
Yeah, why do you have like a little Bing logo on yours?
Because my background is made by Bing.
Oh, that makes sense.
You sound weirdly muffled there, Scott. What's going on with that?
I just
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You're coming in quiet, and then
How about now?
Well, what's weird is that whenever you were like taking your drink, I heard that like I was the one drinking it.
I just can't.
That's
I have noise cancellation on high.
turn that down. Turn it
Yeah.
off. In fact,
Turn off noise cancellation.
yeah.
try it.
Try what? Yeah, I have
Turn it off.
I have it off.
Oh,
Well,
no change.
No
Yep.
shame.
Shit.
It's because he's on a Mac. That's dying.
I mean, honestly, we're happy 2 applications are running at the same time right now.
It's dead,
Is there a way I
Jim.
could turn him up? Nope. That's one thing that this doesn't. This has or Discord has over Skype. I can't turn you up individually, Skype or Scott.
Oh, am I really quiet?
Yeah, you're like muffled and very like.
It's weird. It seems like someone's
Oh, yeah.
like
Dude,
taking your gain, going like,
Yeah.
like it's going in and out, which is really weird.
Is it the same headset you've always used?
Yeah, it's the same
Weird.
headset I've been using for the last year.
Welcome everybody to Shadows Testing.
I mean, sometimes people like to see when things are all scuffed up. Like we're just trying
Yeah.
stuff out.
We're just coming
Although
through
no
it.
one's arrived yet, which is good. It's just us looking at ourselves.
Started on time on top of it. It's only been 12 minutes.
Yeah. But hey, this works out really well as far as like seeing it live. We can do all kinds of fun stuff. You have space for a 4th player.
Yep.
You could have like you have room on the top right, the top left to put other
Other things.
like like links.
Yeah, I could really
or-
load the fucking space up if I wanted to.
Any
Yeah.
difference now? In how
That was
it
better.
sounds? Yeah.
Whatever you did,
Is
it was
that
better.
So weird.
Yeah, you're coming through
God.
like.
Switched it
Oh
from.
god, you're popping in or out of one. You're like, I can't do it because I'm. Head desk. Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. This is perfect.
All right. Last time on Shadows. Oh, that's right. We got to New Avalon, and we got welcomed by a guy in dark hair and wearing robes.
Yeah.
I think kimono, and he was talking in a language we didn't understand. Somehow, the words came over, like, to the lens, and Danny was able to translate it. I imagine that it's like in a comic book where, like, as he's talking, it's like the words are automatically coming out of his mouth, and the lens sees that and translates for him.
I like that idea.
His Majesty.
Didn't I have? Yeah, here we go.
Let's see. So, let me go back to my notes. Recap. We have arrived at New Avalon. We were greeted by a apparently friendly being that only Danny was able to communicate with due to Thanks, Grayley.
What's going on? I missed it. Oh, there it is.
She's just saying
Oh,
that
yeah.
she's not-
Yeah, it looks
not
good,
listening.
doesn't it?
Okay, so we no longer have our.
Hey, you know, the good news is even though when Bill popped out and popped back in, it resized back to the right size. From my perspective.
Yeah.
Like, it showed the Skype symbol for a second, but once he came back in, he was back to normal. So that's good. It self-corrected.
Yeah, well, and here's the other thing, Grayley, is that you can see us much larger than usual or than before, but everybody's got names on top of it.
Sure do. Anyway, so we're greeted by a apparently friendly being, due to the lens that we used to. Whoa!
Sorry.
The music going like whoa.
Yeah.
I thought that was something I did on accident.
You know what?
I'm so.
Keep it really
I don't
low
know
for a
what-
while, and then when he wants to have like a really loud moment, he was like what? Like ah. You blow our ears out. If you wanted to, just for the sake of this, sake of this,
Kitty
episode,
vision.
to describe what we saw when we first arrived. Like, we teleported. We took the guide stone, I think, and we arrived. We got greeted by the guy, but what do we see around us?
Well, everybody was standing in a space that is rather illustrious, first and foremost. When you looked out the enormous, like, long and narrow windows that surround the one half of the outside wall that's obviously protruding from the structure, if you were to, like, kind of give it any kind of glance, there is this sort of blue sky and thin white clouds and all kinds of just like air traffic from various vehicles just in constant motion. You're multiple hundreds of feet in the air. You have to be. The dais that you're standing on, with the small steps that lead downward, appears to be made or constructed out of possibly marble or some other kind of stone that is as equally expensive or hard to work with or move even to get this height. At the top, you had the dome as it recessed into the ceiling, so it creates that whole look of almost a cathedral-like appearance, because it's that really complex-looking full three-dimensional arch that creates the dome structure overhead. But it had the answering glyphs and designs that you guys had already constructed on the other end with the gate that you had created over the last several weeks of being sort of entrapped in your own place. there was an individual who was standing, who was out in front of you, and now there's a larger chamber that's ahead of where you guys are at. It kind of opens up into a wider area. It's not really a room per se, but it's kind of like a hall or maybe some form of like intersectional way that allows you to get access to other rooms. He acknowledged the fact that Danny had managed to communicate with him and more or less made a motion of like stay right there, so to speak, to go and fetch someone because he was calling out to somebody as he left. Now, Malcolm was pressed hard up against the far wall to everyone's right, as he had noticed that there was raw daylight just pouring through these windows, thankfully at an angle that wouldn't touch him directly. But it's clear that if the sun is going in a certain direction, that it'll probably go right through, like the windows themselves will not be a safe point. You'll have to like get out of there and move. But he's extremely uncomfortable. But yeah, we're all standing in this strange sort of entryway. A rather
I know that Hugh tried
massive.
to greet him. He like walked over and was like, "Hey," and was like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
So, and he looks, you know, the kind of like clothing that the guy's wearing, like I said, it looks very unusual. You know, he's kind of olive-skinned, you know, shorter, definitely skinnier, and he was, you know, just garbed up in this thing that looks like long, flowing kind of robes, wide belt, you know, like I said, almost vaguely like a kimono in a sense. But he moved really quickly out of view once he confirmed that you guys, you know, once he actually was able to communicate using that lens which portrayed what was going on. You know, he had to get up close enough to read it, and while you guys were talking, it would translate, and he would be able to see it. So, it's one of those things where it's like you don't know exactly what's happening, but he ran off to go find somebody, and you're standing there in this arched dais.
Now Malcolm's just kind of edging into the shadows to a more secure location. He's going, now, I greatly appreciate the fact that this worked, but not the fact that it's, well, sunlight outside. So if you wouldn't mind figuring out that.
Hugh looks over and he's like, "Would an umbrella help?"
He's like, would that help?
I think he needs more like a parasol.
I was thinking, yeah.
Well, you're also like fully, because if you recall, your kilt and garb with the way you've got it set up now with your more modern stuff has got that tightly, you've got that hood that you've got around your person, and you're keeping yourself like all covered as much as you possibly can manage.
He's completely covered, but he's like kind of testing. Like,
Yeah.
he's testing, like he says, all right, so we know that works, and you can just see like he's just hooded at this point.
Yeah,
But
as
is
long
the
as you're
sun
not
here
in.
the same as the sun. Like we don't know if it'll work.
Yeah, it has to be direct sunlight for it to be effective. I mean, you're vastly uncomfortable, and it kind of feels like whatever's splashing off the floor and upward into the room is uncomfortable to be around. It's almost like it's tingling on the skin, anything that might be exposed, but it's not causing damage.
But what what Danny's gonna point out is like, we don't know if the sun here is the same as the sun there. You should stick out a pinky, give it a try.
Is it for vampires in this world? Is it one of those things like any sun you're just done, or is it just like the part that gets
They
hurt?
suffer damage per round based on direct sunlight, and it's withering damage, which means that you can't regenerate it. It's
Yeah, it's to heal it
bad
naturally.
news.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why.
So
Ken
just for my
keeps,
notes here, and for anyone who's listening,
Yeah.
who's with us right now? We got Hugh.
You have Barnaby,
we
you
Danny
have Silva,
Blaze,
and the crew.
We have Malcolm McDonald.
McDonald's.
Yeah. And those are our player characters.
And Brenner was with you, I think.
We have Brenner.
I don't know if he
we
was
have
or not.
Silva?
He was helping you out. Yeah, he
Brenner
was.
coming with us because like his lady love or daughter or whomever was
Otter. Which is
I mean,
his
you can
love.
love your
It's a
kid.
different type of
different type of love. Was he was hoping to like sneak her back, right? So
Yeah, well, he was
So,
hoping to find some means of a solution to that effect, yes.
So he was gonna go look over at Brenner and it's like, so what's going on right now? looking around.
He just raises his arms like this. He's like, I sincerely don't know. We're waiting on someone. It depends on what it is that he saw whenever Danny was holding up the lens.
So, the lens translates. It's translating written word, and then it's also translating. I love, Ken. I love your, like, comic book type. Like, yeah, he's talking in a like speech bubble or whatever is like appearing, and then like translating it.
Yeah,
So,
that's how it technically works.
yeah, I love that. I love that idea. And it translates concepts, right? Not like word for word. It's not gonna.
Right.
So,
It's
so
working
that's
within the
better.
context of the language based on what it's been exposed
Yeah.
to this far.
Like maybe probably not idioms, but like we can, you know, it can get the point across. So he gestured to us to kind of like hang tight, and then he took off.
Yeah. So you guys are kind of standing there. Now, here's the funny part: is that if you want to make an awareness check, sir, which you probably will, I would
Yeah.
recommend doing that promptly.
You're gonna have to use Discord for the dice rolling.
I know. Gotta find my. Oh yeah. So okay. So after last session, I got the major milestone, and I took planar intuition, which gives me a bonus whenever traversing realms beyond the prime material plane. I get a bonus in like navigating. So
That's cool.
I'm hoping that this counts as one of those places where I would have a bonus if we needed to help navigate around. Okay, so I'm doing awareness. So my awareness is a plus 13, and then if it's like magic oriented, it would be a plus 18.
That's nice.
Well, let's see what we got.
Are we saying it's magic oriented? Or should I just do the regular awareness?
Just roll your awareness.
Yeah.
I know if it's magical or not, and in this
Okay.
case, you'll get the benefit of it if it is.
Did it wrong. Fix it. It's slash R, and you have to select the maiden.
Dang it. I see. Okay, I rolled a 6, so I got a 19.
D19.
God. Right. Well, and in this case, yeah, you go looking around, and what becomes immediately apparent is this fine and imperceptible line of raw energy going around the outside edge of the dais that leads into the larger chamber. And when you look up at it, there's this kind of strange iridescence that pushes through in this perfect, like completion of the cylinder, because the room that you're standing in is cylindrical, but where the wall is missing, that's where this fine layer, looking like basically the perimeter of a bubble, is just right there, but almost, barely visible, and you only catch it in flits of light. So not only is it mystical, it's complex and very difficult to see. But it definitely is acting as a barrier between yourself and what's on the other side. You just don't know what it'll do if you actually try and cross it.
Touch it.
So, guys, we're in like a airlock, like a waiting room, something. This is.
Oh yeah, and he's gonna start walking towards the wall.
Yeah,
He's like,
well,
"Where's
I
the
wouldn't-
stop?"
I just don't. It could. I don't know what it will do, but that guy was apparently able to come in and out, no problem. But maybe he's got a token or something that lets him do that. But maybe if we go through, it'll set off alarms or something. I don't know.
I'm gonna touch it. He's gonna put his finger out. Like, where's
I'm
it?
inclined to wait or like roll a.
Make a body essence check, Ken.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know if I touched it or not.
You went out and touched it. You're going to go to the perimeter. It's not hard to see where the perimeter of the steps are. You were a
Oh,
lot
is that where it
closer
is?
than...
Okay.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
like
right,
that.
It's right there. It's right on the edge there.
Okay. Body essence check.
Yeah, target 8.
Let's see here. Okay. Gotta remember how to go over here, and then roll 1d. No, not 1. Sorry. My body is 6, so it's 1d, or 6d, 10, explode, 10, fail, 1, target, 8.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yep.
I had 2 successes.
All right, so you try to push through it, and there is an immediate sense of being like slogging through something that's much slower, and then the air and everything around you becomes extraordinarily cold. Cold to the point where you actually feel almost as if the tips of your fingers are beginning to burn, and it's cold all the way through your fabric of the clothing you're wearing, and you just kind of stop and pull back, and there's actually frost on the outside of your clothing and hands.
Well, so my reaction to that is, it's like, oh, that's unpleasant.
Did I see anything different happening when he?
Yeah, you saw the
corrected it?
barrier kind of contorting around his form as he was pushing through it. It didn't break, but it definitely became much more brilliant around where he was trying to push through. And the further he pushed in, the more brilliant it became, and the more it seemed to get colder and frostier.
I would have seen something like that in my monocle too, huh?
Well, you would have seen where the barrier was, but like Danny, you can't tell what it's for or what it does, and you only saw the brilliance once you started pushing through it.
Try it with a knife or something. I don't know if it's meat or if it's stuff.
The flesh.
Or, and don't get me wrong, maybe we don't touch it at all.
Well, I'm not touching it. He's being Hugh.
Hugh,
I'm an enabler.
Hugh,
I'm gonna start walking the perimeter, but not touching it.
maybe we don't touch the strange magical object until we know what it is.
D, while I'm doing the perimeter, kind of around the circle, I'm gonna do just an awareness as well, just to see what my my human eyes see.
Alrighty?
Let's see here. 1d10 plus. Let's see. My awareness is an 11, but I am distractible. Of course, that's only in combat. Okay, yeah, so it's 11.
Not really much to see at the present moment, but you do
No,
know.
I mean sorry, I haven't like. I was just saying it's plus 11, like. But yeah, I got a 13, so yep, nothing much to see. Got it.
Doesn't appear to be trapped.
Well, I mean, you're walking the perimeter of this thing, and it's utterly uniform. It's actually kind of gorgeous in its symmetry and how it all fits together. Now, you guys are tinkering around with this, and Silva's just kind of like a little bit dumbstruck, not really sure exactly what to expect. I mean, at this point in her life, she's already been to one particular alt which didn't look anything like this, and this place now is where she's at, and she's like, can I stay? Like, it's basically she's just staring out at the window like this is intensely awesome
pretty.
for her. Yeah. Like, she's just kind of looking out the way. She's bathing in that sunlight, in fact.
We're getting
really?
the extremes, right? So,
Yeah. Barnaby is staying close to Danny at this point, and, while he's sitting there going like, well, he's being Hugh, and he's like, yeah, don't encourage that, by the way.
I tend to encourage
Yeah, that's why I'm telling you not
bad
to.
behavior.
And then while Brenner is kind of like looking down at the floor, he's kind of knelt down and just touching things, trying to understand exactly its composition, trying to understand how it fits together. No, I think this is probably best.
Sound is coming through really good.
Yeah, that's good.
Like the music, I mean.
Yeah. There we go. All right, so
It was sounding so good. I had to check, is it in my headphones or not?
Right.
It was coming in hot for a second there.
Yeah, so he's just down there. He's like, he looks up to everybody else as you guys are all just milling around doing your own thing, and he's kind of in a sort of a dumbstruck state as well. But he's just like, I can't explain this. The magic here is resplendent. It's sophisticated. and complex. I wouldn't be surprised if most of the structure we stand on is composed of matter that wasn't even cut. Maybe it was just conjured.
That's interesting.
Do you know how to make stuff like this?
I know it's possible.
Is this that artificing stuff you were talking about?
No, this is something far more in-depth than that. Either this building is extraordinarily ancient, or the people that live here are very talented, and we should walk very carefully.
Oh, because we walk so carefully every other time we go into a strange world and environment, and he's just like edging as much into the shadows as he possibly can at this point.
Yep.
Can Danny try to like conjure an umbrella?
Yeah, you can. Yep.
A parasol, I think you mean?
A parasol. An umbrella means little shadow. Parasol means anti-sun.
Does it?
Yeah. What's
I knew the little shadow thing, but I hadn't heard about parasols. Are you just making stuff up and saying we're sounding really confident about it?
Does that work? Okay, what am I rolling for if I'm gonna conjure or create? I'll do
Ooh, good old Bjorn.
evocation.
It's going to be an evocation check, so the way that magic works right now is that you will always use evocation as the rolling aspect, and then the other abilities have a bit of a different translation to them.
Okay.
But
So I'll do my rank 3 evocation.
right. So what'll happen here is if it's successful is what you will basically nurture matter into a form, and it will remain permanent if you can pull it together, but the effect is instantaneous. However,
I want to pull shadow into. Did you ever read Order of the Stick?
no, I never did, but you can.
Oh, there's a creature in there that has to stay in the shadow, and it holds an umbrella that projects shadow straight down, and you never see the creature. You just see this walking dark cylinder with an umbrella on top.
Yeah.
So I want to like grab the shadow and like try and extend it into a thing. So like
Right.
a portable shadow.
Yeah, and in this case, what'll happen is that you'll have to, if it's something that kind of, well, in this case, you'll have to sustain your concentration on it. Yeah, actually. So, because to hold it in form and shape like that,
Right.
and not have it just fall apart. Yeah, the evocation, strictly speaking, is a matter of impermanence. It's either instantaneous or you have to hold it together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do my. What is my target?
In this case, it's actually going to be an 8. Not terribly difficult. I would say you're going to be pushing like threshold 2.
Okay.
Princess
And I got
Peach
one.
like parasol.
He'd spin it around, be all happy.
I only got one success. So.
Okay. You try to hold it together. What's interesting is that you try to do this, and you like hold your hand up, and you can see the rays of blocked, the rays of blocked light creating that like sort of the umbral lines that you're gonna try and draw out with. You pull that over. There is this visual like glitch that happens when you try to cause them to condense. There is something that kind of feeds, like there's heat under your shoes, and then it kind of snaps apart whenever you try to do that again, and you're like, okay. When
Yeah.
when that's over and done with, you see this older gentleman come back from where the other man ran off to, and he's probably what he appears to be in his mid-50s, more or less. He's got a slight beard going on. He has longer hair. Some of it has a bit of an ornamentation going down the side. He's wearing a uniform very similar to the other man, but it's a lot more ornate. But he comes stepping forward, and you can see that there's this big grin on his face as he's like coming up to approach everybody, and he's just sort of like that. He just kind of waves at the group of people in here.
Oh, I mean, obviously he was gonna come right over and was like, "Hey, hey!" Like,
Ambala to you too. So yeah, lens up. You
How
know,
big is the lens? I always thought it was like a handheld, like
It's-
magnifying
it's
glass.
in my iPad Pro. It's like
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like arm below my fucking arse.
then it translates out and it means like death to the newcomers. And
Right.
like death to the newcomers. Woo!
Yeah,
Gotta do
well, you can
sacrifice.
see
Woo!
the ornate patterning that goes across the outer side of this guy's robes. Now, it's got this silvery gray look to it, but the patterning is very much diamond, like that classic diamond shape, but it filters down all throughout, creating a little bit of shine wherever it's been embroidered into it. But it's, it looks very, very, very wealthily, like, it's just, we're talking like high quality stuff. But and it's multi-layered. Now, the area and chamber that you're in is actually cool. There's not a lot of heat. And the way that he approaches everyone is this with a state of sort of wonder and excitement. And he's shorter as well. He's like 5'6", so he doesn't have this like overtowering stature. He probably is maybe about 160 pounds wet. Like the guy just
He's
doesn't
like
look
Danny's stature.
almost, yeah. Like
Yeah.
he's just, but he comes walking through. He penetrates that field that's on the outside edge of what he's talking about, and he's like, "There, this is better." Yes.
Wait, is this? Are we? Can you understand us?
Do all of us understand that?
Yeah.
Hey,
You guys
he's
all heard that.
He's speaking the king's English.
Ah. Marvelous, 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 marvelous. I've been so eager to meet whoever it was that sent me that delightful message.
Hey, my name is Hugh Man, at your service. He's walking right over.
He looks at your hand. He just kind of like gives you a smile, looks up at you, like expecting to understand what that means.
And then
And
Malcolm's
is
in the
his
background
hand
says,
visible? Because I'd like to grab it
and
and like
you
shake it.
This is a greeting in our culture.
Well, he just kind of like looks at it. He just grabs a hold of it, gives it a good old clench, and does this like that, just kind of like putting the shoulder. There's actually a fine grip to the man as he like lets it happen.
Pump it like you're pumping
Yeah.
water. Just.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's just like it's like Salazar. That's the name. You are human and.
My name is Danny Blaze. I am one of the
Danny
preeminent arcane wizards from our land.
you just get a snort from the background.
This is my faithful servant, McDonald's.
Of course, Barnaby is actually kind of chuckling at this point because this is too fucking crazy for him to stay serious. He's just like, ugh. It's not McDonald's. It's McDonald. Malcolm McDonald is his name, and I'm Barnaby. That's Brenner Silva.
What did he say his name was? Did he say it?
Salazar.
Salazar.
That's a fun name to say.
Yeah.
That is a very
He's
good
like-
name to say.
He's like, Salazar Thorgal. I'm a professor, actually. And it seems that you lot found my book.
Yes, that was a very complicated book.
Yes, of course it is. Traversing all various forms of dimension is complicated work.
Have you traversed to many other planes?
I have not. No. I stay quite where I am at the moment. Well needed. Too many different responsibilities, unfortunately. Can't be going out and being all, what is the word, perhaps, that you might understand best? I cannot be the explorer that I so desire to be. I have so many other things going. I see that you're shying away from the light, my friend. Is there a problem?
He's ugly.
You could.
Well, he
say
kind of like
that
leans in. He's just sort of like, is he?
I have somewhat of a predilection against sunlight.
Ah.
He's a vampire, you see. Do you have vampires over here in Avalon?
Well, he just like waves his.
And you, as per usual, you can't keep your feckin' mouth shut.
Dude, you can't just out people.
Well, that's not outing. He's being helpful.
No,
Well, he
for
like
the first time, I actually agree with the lad. You can't just go out outing people.
Well, he like
It's a
raises
human
his
mind, it's just a
arm.
matter of,
It's
like,
rude.
But who he sucks is up to him. You can't just.
Well, like I said, while you guys were discussing that, he raises his arm mid-conversation, and you can see that the light becomes very much blanched out. It doesn't completely obstruct, so you have this kind of darker amber type like light coming in, but that's more than enough. You can feel the tingle immediately dissipate from your your senses, and you feel more comfortable. He's like, vampire. I don't think I'm familiar with this word, but it just kind of looks at us like, I was a bit somewhat suspicious, given the fact that there were warnings before I arrived, and I wasn't quite certain, but yet here he stands amidst all of you, living and breathing. Folk fully capable, it would appear. So you constructed it, the gate, managed to find yourselves back at this place, and you just walked through.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's apparently what they do.
It took a bit.
Well, I would suspect it probably did, where you might be more genius than I if it took you less time. I suppose that we're going to have to go a little bit more than just introductions. I left that book intentionally, hoping that some wayward soul would probably come across it, and it would appear that you lot, like I've said, are the ones who did. Now, I definitely want to know about everything from where you've come from. I'm very curious, and you've been here long enough that anything that would be potentially life-threatening has been, well, either taken into account or forced to dissipate.
Or an understanding of how to return. And he just looks meaningfully at Brenner.
Brenner's just sort of like, he just raises his hand up because he realizes that, it's like, yeah, Professor, it's clear to at least the majority of us, Silvus is kind of like listening and kind of keeping to the background here. It's clear to the majority of us that this is an exciting meeting for you, but we actually are not necessarily... He kind of like scratches his head. Well, it's not necessarily like this was meant as a tourist visit. We did have intentions to try and learn more about what was here to help ourselves. At least we can be forthright and honest in that respect. And he's just like, well, of course, my whole entire idea about having any of this composed together was to be able to do quite the same, in fact. A symbiotic relationship, if you will.
Yeah, we were using the book try learning about the sands of time, right?
Well, yeah, that was the initial point, yeah. Just led to this as a side option.
He sees a glimmer in Hugh's eye and goes, Hugh, let Brenner speak. He's just staring at you going, don't you fucking say it.
And his mouth was open. He was like,
well, needless to say, at least we can meet each other all on common ground, as it were, and... Well, even if there is one of the undead among you, as I seem to have managed to suspect correctly, that is fine. I was wanting to see if he had manners first, and apparently that seems to be the case. I do apologize for the tight confinement, necessary when dealing with entities from somewhere you've never been.
It's fine.
it's fine. This is fine.
Yeah. I have a great many things to show you upon this side. I will release the barrier. Oh, you won't be able to understand me once the barrier is down, but I have a means by which to counteract that. I will provide you with those means if you follow me.
Ooh, universal translators.
Babblefish. Just shove it in your ear.
Which fish?
The Babblefish.
Babblefish?
Oh, that's right. That's from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so he walks through, the barrier dissipates very cleanly, and you go walking through and you can hear the ambient echo of all of their footsteps. Selva in the background, she's like, I mean, seriously, do we have to go back? Like,
I mean, Silva, if you learn their language, they might let you stay.
Now, from what he sounds like he's
You could
saying,
be like an exchange student.
screw that. There could be something so much better than that here. So
Well, we took what's his name from the other place, so
she's like,
Oh, I forgot about him.
yeah,
Spike or something.
Vix.
Vix.
Did Vix come along on this one? I think he stayed behind. It was deliberate.
He's messing around with cars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he stayed behind. I just had to make sure I confirmed. You don't want to miss him out on this. Yeah.
Rub.
Right. Well, in this case, you guys get walked in through this chamber, which is quite vast. It's very, very high ceiling, and construction very similar to what you might imagine, almost like portrayals of, like Olympus and things along those lines. So, with the sort of marble and fine woods and materials and deep red curtains in certain areas, the contrast of color to stone is rather apparent. And when he leads you to a separate chamber that is kind of like a sitting room, he reaches into what looks to be some kind of smaller, like, chest or a box. There are interesting implements here. Namely, this place looks like it's ancient, but you can tell there is technological devices because there are multiple data pads just lying out on this table. Though they're clear and they can go opaque, show pictures and things like that with perfect clarity, and there's a lot of different things happening on them, very similar to what you might expect with like a UCOM or some other kind of electronic device. But he steps over to this smaller chest, withdraws several of these items. Looks like there are many of them, because he apparently didn't know exactly how many he might need from the looks of it. But there are these pendants. They come with these reddish-brown stone type hanging pendants on them, and it's just a small string thong. You just put it over your head and just like makes the motion to wear it.
All right,
I'll
so
put
Danny
mine
will
on.
slip his on. Yeah.
And he's just like, all right. Do you understand
Did
me?
it work? We can understand you.
And he just nods his head. It's like, wonderful. He actually lifts the same one that he's wearing as well. He's like, never can be too careful. I was expecting the possibility of an entire party showing up of greater than maybe 30 or 40, perhaps.
How does this work? Does it... McDonald, speak the Gaelic. Does it work that way
Speak
too?
the Gaelic.
Nope.
Oh,
You're muted.
no, not yet.
Oh, it blocks Gaelic. That's what happens.
It's like, as I've ever been a suffering soul within this existence, that I've been shackled to a youth such as you.
Is that in Gaelic?
Yep. And he's just like, a rather strange string of words there, but I understood it nonetheless for the most part.
Wait, did we understand it?
Well, yeah.
Oh. Ha! You can't hide anymore, old man.
Oh. And he just he like leans down like real close to you. Like, lad, you have not even begun to understand the depth of what I can hide from you.
It's just like, the professor is just kind of like, I see that this is a rather fascinating dynamic already. I do want to give you all fair warning. We're going to be having a lunch soon. And if any of you are interested, even those who might not be persuaded, indicating Malcolm in this case, you are more than welcome to join us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
sounds
famished. Let's get some grub on.
And he just nods his head. It's like, wonderful. This way. And he takes a step out. Now, he's got the same individual who met you at first. You had taken to yet another area of this enormous complex, whatever it is. It's like, try to imagine the most incredibly, like, large penthouse that you've ever been in. And using materials that wouldn't normally be structurally sound to do it. because marble's extraordinarily heavy stuff, and putting it up top like this in such amounts would mean that the structure and substructure would have to sustain it very, very well for it to be safe.
It looked like it was like grown.
It kind of appears that way, but
You were
like
saying conjured before, but
Yeah.
like.
well,
yeah,
you don't
that's
see
so cool.
you don't see machining marks, you don't see anything else like that that would indicate those kinds of bits. It looks shaped in a lot of different areas.
Weird. Nice.
Yeah.
Danny has no appreciation for that, but I do.
Yeah. But when you come into the primary eating area, it's a larger table. It seems like he's by himself in a rather enormous area. Like, he must be insanely wealthy to be able to have all of this. But he just kind of like brings himself in. There are places being set, not nearly enough, which he corrects once he gets inside, and ushers everybody in to be able to kind of take their seats, and they start to come through. Now, you look dramatically different from everyone here. Even the people who are wearing their simpler clothes appear to be kind of in more flowing type uniforms. You guys are wearing all sorts of stuff of varying degree
we're
and
dressed
quality.
to the nines.
Yeah.
Well, Danny's like very like strapped in, like, he's got like the leather jackety type.
And for those of you who
Sleepwear.
have weapons that are visible, he's had nothing about them and has made no indication that he's nervous in the wake of them.
So I guess Malcolm with his like flow is probably more blending in.
In a sense, yeah.
With his,
Malcolm kind of
you
does
know.
actually have a tendency to kind of blend into this scenery much more easily. But Brenner just thanks, your host at this point, Salazar. He thanks him rather readily as you guys sit down. And he's just like, it kind of goes into small talk for a little bit as everybody's just trying to get used to one another and their company. Whenever it finally gets down to the meat of it, Salazar's like, all right. Well, I suppose that this is probably where things get interesting. I have had exposure to something I cannot verily explain. Access to a certain gateway that allows all manner of creatures and things to pass through. As a matter of fact, I suspect that it has absolutely no end. It is an infinite corridor, if you will.
Salazar saying this?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Well, I have witnessed something that was very close to our present location, and it was sophisticated, like a door or gateway. And upon its opening, there were various ways of coming through it. It kind of looked like a road. But I had no idea where it led, and it wasn't part of any of the normal structure that was in that same area. In fact, it looked to be that some sort of, arcane gate had just appeared, but it must have been there for a great deal of time, over an extended period, and was revealed for reasons yet I do not understand. Once I saw this, I had to formulate some kind of concept as to what was going on. Of course, a fair number of my own compatriots were vastly against the principle of doing any further investigating, as even the study in the arcane arts is, it's accepted, but considered to be rather dangerous, and I have a tendency to be on the fringe of what is considered acceptable in certain cases. That being said, this doorway did not last, but where it is and what it is still in the same place. I have not been able to re-access it since, but it definitely fulminated more than enough information for me that I could construct something very similar, and thus the gate was born, some 25 years ago. And I've been much more interested in anyone who would understand what it might be and where it could lead. And, all of you seem to have the skills to be able to arrive. Maybe you know more than I.
I mean, we know what we read in your book, and mostly
That's very
I
little.
read the book. And it took me a lot to figure that out. I mean, I think I read it a dozen times and gleamed little bits here and there. Oh, are we okay? So the pendants, do they affect anything else other than auditory? Like, are we able to read any writing that's there?
It's
Anything?
just
Does that
auditory
change?
for now. Yeah, it's
Okay.
just what you hear. Yeah.
So we had this device, and he was like gonna show the lens that let me read what you had written because we don't understand your script.
Well, I would imagine you probably don't, but I will see this. Do you mind?
I don't mind, right? And he's like looking for someone to tell him to not hand it over.
It's like at Barnaby's just kind of like, let him at this point. What else are we gonna
so
do?
Danny will hand over the lens. Do we have the impression that we're in this guy's house?
It's
or-
kind of like that, yeah.
Like I was like, because he said he's a professor, so I'm like, oh, are we in some like academic area? But
Yeah, no, it's definitely clear that you're kind of like in some dwelling. That's what it looks like anyway.
okay. Bill, you just pulled a shadow out of nowhere. Like the way that the lighting hit, you just reached over and grabbed a shadow and put it. Perfect. Okay,
Well,
so
he
yeah,
starts
he's gonna hand
to-
over the lens.
Yeah, he looks at it and looks through it, and he's just kind of like, well, that's rather remarkable. I don't think I've ever actually seen anything like that. I suppose it's probably the same exact concept. Well, no, not quite. He's just kind of looking at it and goes like, kind of gives it a tilt. This is actually vastly more complex and...
Yeah, it does concepts, so I don't understand word for word what you wrote, but I get the general idea, so...
Well, this object actually happens to be somewhat intelligent. Like, slides it back to you, it's like, remarkable.
Is this from here?
No. Nothing quite like that. As a matter of fact, I would keep that to yourself or anyone else. I don't know exactly what you might run into or encounter in such a way that it would be courteous to let you keep it.
Yeah, Danny's gonna like sleight of hand it back with a flourish.
Well, I'm certain that you're... Well, I don't know exactly if that's the truth or not, but... because it's come to the point where it's the end of the meal now, and he's like, shall we go and take a look at this phenomenon?
Yeah.
Yeah, lead the way. Sounds interesting.
Malcolm's
Wonderful.
like, no, don't deal with what we had to come here to deal with to begin with, but that's fine.
Oh, and he stands up and he's just sort of like, pray tell, Mr. MacDonald, what exactly is it that you are here to do?
Well, pray tell, and he just looks at Danny. Maybe you should explain to the kind gentleman before you overtly promise things that we cannot fulfill.
Well, we're here looking for the Sands of Time.
We're trying
you already
to use
have
the
it.
Sands of Times.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how to use it. So we have...
The sands of
Yes.
memory, not sands of time.
Sorry. We have this artifact that we need to use, but we don't really know how to use it. And in trying to figure out how to use it, we ended up here.
He just nods his
'Cause
head.
I'm in a bit of trouble, and we're trying to make some people
Unfuck
forget
that,
about me.
yeah.
Well, that seems like an awfully difficult business. I am sad to say that I do not know what the sands of memory are. But
Wait, we said Sands of Time.
yes, it's sands of memory. It's not. You said sands of time, so probably put it
Yeah,
in
I
there.
said Sands of Time.
Yeah, it's not sands of time. This is not Prince of Persia. You're not winding time back.
The whole time I've written down Sands of Time and all of my
Yep.
notes.
Yeah, it's the sands of memory.
No,
blame Ken. So, but anyway, yeah, Sands of Memory. So, but yeah, so in trying to decipher how to use that properly, we ended up with this, and oh jeez, you lost, Bill.
Gotta warn me before you do that.
Yeah, so we just kind of ended up here,
Sorry.
hoping that someone on this side could help us understand how to use it. But you say you don't know anything about the.
I can't say I've ever heard of it, but the other strange part of it, I suppose, now that I think about it, there is a certain sort of ethical problem. I don't know who these men are or who it is that you would intend to use it upon, and I'm not sure exactly that. Well, if I'm going to be entirely frank, I don't know if you people are exactly well-meaning. You seem to be so, and I'm a fair judge of character.
No, we're trying to get out of trouble.
Yeah, this is not altruistic at all. We're trying to
This is
save our own
very
butts.
selfish.
Well, he's just sort of like, regardless of the fact that your candor is rather refreshing, I must take it under advisement for now. If you're still interested in looking at this phenomenon, you may, but...
Well, how about we do a trade, Salazar?
Looking at
The
weird
place
stuff.
we come from, or a place that we visit often, the marketplace of the Fae, they work in trade, so we can help you with what your task is, and maybe you can give us some information. You're not going to be obligated to, but maybe that can help with proving our intentions.
You say Fae.
The fairies? I think they're always wanting to come back here. Isn't that right, Danny?
Why would they want to come back here?
Am I speaking out of my ass, D? Like out of character? Like
No.
Like
You're actually
just-
you're putting a connection together that you think is correct, and you just don't know if it is or isn't.
Okay. Well, I was just making
Yeah.
sure I'm saying things that I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really understand how the marketplace works, but it's got people from all over the place. Are we in Avalon?
No. If you're talking about the mystical land of all fairy, fae, magic, and so forth, no. It is called New Avalon because post-Cataclysm there was a hope and desire that with the return of magic and such, that something like that would have returned with it. No such luck.
Oh.
For the people who don't get to see that, a horse just showed up on Bill's face.
Well, let's
Yeah, let's go look at your weird hallway.
And he's just he just nods his head. He's just sort of like, and of course, because we are going to be leading that way, he kind of looks to you. It's like, well, I mean, we could all understand you, but I suppose you'll probably fit in some aspect or another. I shouldn't worry too much, should I? And his assistant or the rest of it that was with him, that's been with him this whole time, just kind of shakes his head. It's like, no, sir. Like that, just leans forward.
We got a yes man here.
No man.
And then Malcolm just kind of whispers to the yes man, going, "Trust me, everything can go at all with this."
He just kind of stands back and looks a little affronted, but just doesn't say much and just kind of stays close. He's like, how pish-posh. Listen.
Pish-posh.
Yeah. We're going to go see this now, and we're going to see if we can't settle everyone's curiosity, at least for this moment. Shall we? And he leads you to this open bay that's out on the same area. It goes through these incredibly ornate double doors, and it leads to the outside. And now you're getting hit with the cacophony of noise of all the various, the engines and things like that are pushing through. Very quiet, but you can hear them passing. It's like a car on snow. You can just kind of hear that, like that as it's going by. And they're all there. You can even hear in the distance, there's actually the sound of what, horns and other kinds of things like that. But you don't have the smear of hollow ads in all directions, and the smog and the air you're breathing right now is something else. You take in that draw of breath, and you're just getting clear, absolutely unpolluted air, which is
You said we're
wild.
up, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So are we seeing
Yeah, you're seeing
You
like
know,
skyline.
jumpers.
Well, yeah, you're seeing jumpers all over the place. They litter the sky in various layers. Now, of course,
So-
he's got one too that looks rather sleek. You can see that like the streamlining and how it looks. It's longer. Looks like it can house a fair number of people. It's almost like you basically equate it to a flying limousine, but
Nice.
combined with a Rolls Royce.
So we talked in last episode about this idea of like turning a dial
Yeah.
to like go to the other place. But that's that guy's book, right? So
That's what the book basically told you how to do. You just had an anchor point, created one, and now you can kind of do that. Yeah.
so yeah, Danny's gonna like try and like chirp in his ear about, you know, some of the theories that he was reading, and you know, while they're walking, he's just gonna like make small talk about, you know, so what if you turn it this way? Like, what if, you know, how does that work? Like all that. He's just gonna.
Well, and of course, the man is just more than eager to start answering questions. It doesn't seem to faze him much that you're making all these inquiries about this sort of thing. When you get inside... Oops, not that one. Not that one. Yeah, hold on.
Death music.
That Doom music kicking in.
Copperfield shows up.
Oh, God.
Oh my god, no.
Copperfield would just smear us under his shoe.
Yeah, he was a bad motherfucker. All right, so...
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, you go stepping into the vehicle. Silva hasn't said a freaking word. She's just been locked in, looking at all this
She's
stuff.
just gonna slip away.
She can't, dude. She's
put on
just
some
like
robes. Like,
best-
she's just
oh,
gonna
yeah.
pretend like she's been here the
fucking
whole time.
jump into the shower or something like that and completely vanish. She's like, I've been a citizen the whole time. I'm not leaving. Like, well, to actually answer your question, so the primary background I purchased, but all of the text and stuff that you see is mine. I was the one that put that together.
Yeah, who's the artist,
Potty
though?
word. Yeah.
Arturos Adios? Is that the art? Oh, I guess I
Arturos
see it in the
Adios.
bottom right there, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I made sure to let it be kind of open and exposed. It's harder to see past the chat, but it's there. But yeah, I didn't want to. Yeah, the background itself is something that I purchased and got licensing for, and then I threw in the text and compiled it together. So,
It's really cool.
yep. So, but yeah, he kind of walks up to this whole thing, and then Silva finally chimes in once you guys are, you know, like on the inside. She's like, you don't really know what you have lying around everywhere, do you? And he just kind of shakes his head. And he's like, whatever do you mean? And like, she's just sits back like, wow, you don't get it. This place is littered with gates everywhere. I can feel it. Like it's poking in the back of my head. They're all over. He's like, gates? Like, sincerely. Well, I'm aware of the fact that there is a bit of a parallel between ourselves and, you know, the various things of the Umbral Realms, but there's nothing here that I would say is a gate, exactly. And she's like, Umbral Realms? What? Like, she's kind of like, we'll have to get to it. And he just kind of he pushes a button in this. It's very technological, by the way, on the inside of this. You've got your standard touchscreens and things like that. There's a lot of it is like super clear and pushed through, so you can actually see through it mostly like from the windows and the rest of it. So very much like home in the sense that pretty much, you know, any surface that's manageable can act like a user interface. And he just he's like, take us back to previous coordinates, and he gives out like a location that seems kind of interesting, and the vehicle picks up and starts moving rather smoothly in that direction. And you guys are lifted off and going along. I mean, you can see the professor's just kind of sitting there, and he's got this smile on his face that he just can't seem to let go of. He's like, your world must be a place that is dark indeed. All of you seem to be carrying weapons, and I can see the scars of what look to be damage, but not scars of the flesh, something else. You've all seen a great deal, have you not?
It's been a
Well-
rough couple of weeks.
We live a very interesting life.
Enough to be wary of traveling through portals.
Well, anyone should be wary of traveling through portals. As a matter of fact, having one opened in my own home is quite a dramatic shift in terms of my own security and safety. Granted, I don't suspect that you would have had the intent of using any of those on me. Like I said, a fairly decent judge of character for the most part, and I suspected that if you had attempted to do so, I would have had at least some sort of answer for it, but none of you have tried, and I am pleasantly surprised.
We're
Well,
mostly
You haven't proved to be a
we
threat.
respond if we get provoked.
Much the same to you all. I only act in case of provocation, though I am hardly one that you could consider to be a full-time combatant. I'm no soldier. Scholar, mostly. Definitely a professor in every form. I much prefer study and book and everything that is the arcane, including exploration, probably my greatest feat of all time. And since I am not permitted to leave under certain circumstances, well, I must live vicariously through others. And so far, it appears to be working rather well.
Hey, you mentioned that before.
Mm-hmm.
What would exactly be the, shall we say, circumstances?
Well, when one is pushing the arcane in the name of helping others, it sometimes entitles it to risk. I may have taken a few extra risks than what were necessary, and the cost was somewhat high. I was not relieved of my duties entirely, nor of my own particular level of payment, but my work continues in service of the city, and I am happy to give it, though I am somewhat shackled at the moment.
So where we come from, it's called Night City, and it's
Quaint.
like what did we call it? A megalopolis?
He actually kind of like stews on the words, like, I've never heard of that before.
A gigantic city.
Oh, you mean like this? And
Well,
like he just points
Isn't
out the
city that
window.
we're looking at massive?
It's massive, but you can actually, if you go up high enough, you could actually see the edges of it. In Night
Oh,
City,
really?
yeah, you
A
like
city,
Night
the
City.
city the size. He looks at him and goes, "A city the size of a continent."
He's just like, really?
Yeah. So it's similar
Didn't you
to
come
this.
here like 20 years ago, 25 years ago? How did you get the book to the Fae?
Oh, well, actually, we have a fair number of them that exist here. I asked a man who was capable of transporting himself into various places. Now, we have conduits that we can employ,
Puck.
but given the fact that this particular individual is, well, what he is, he doesn't necessarily follow the same rules as the rest of us. Which I have to say makes me rather envious. While I may be shackled here to a certain area or, luckily a various number of blocks and where I can get permission, those who are born of an elven nature do have a tendency to persist in multiple dimensions more often than not, but they rarely ever discuss where they go or how they get there. I just knew that he could arrive someplace and, well, offer the chance up to something, and it's been a very long time since then.
Interesting. What do you remember this guy's name?
Well, yeah, what was it? I suppose I'll have to try and remember that at some point. I don't quite recall. It was 2 and something decades ago.
Steve. That's old. That's like when my parents were kids.
Yeah, just like, so the conversation kind of goes like that while you guys are in the air. When you finally touch down, everything looks a bit more similar. It doesn't have that air of opulence that you had just come from. Much of the city is grounded. Now, it doesn't have the dirt and the stank that you've gotten used to with living in the slums out there in Night City if you've been doing that for a while. Even for Danny, I mean, like, Danny's wealthy, but what he was just walking through was like if he were, like, wealthier than wealthy. And now it's going back down to, like, mid-grade. This is kind of closer, to basically subpar Danny standards. But it's clear that there are still individuals here that, have their own work and things to do and the rest of that. And they are looking at everyone as you emerge from the vehicle. First the vehicle, and then everyone that's getting out of it. But he's just sort of like, he comes to the street, he's like, yes, as a matter of fact, there's a shop down the way here that I have a tendency to frequent, usually for odds and ends, for certain things that I'm tinkering on, and it's right down this way. Follow me. Like that, he just takes you down this sort of wider area that turns into an alleyway, and he kind of stops at a certain point, and if everybody wants to make an awareness check, you may.
Sounds like we should do that.
Alright.
Well, it's your choice! Anyway, yeah.
21 for Danny's awareness.
Nice.
Is this a combat style awareness?
No,
or
no. This is just awareness.
15.
Good.
Uh, 19.
Nice. You all happen to notice something rather significant about the structure here. There is kind of an archway involved in it, but it's subtle. You only see it when you're looking at it in a certain way. Now, mind you, Malcolm, you're kind of standing out in this, broad daylight type thing, and you're moving around, and you're surprised that you're not just, like, burning the hell up, right? You don't know what's causing that to happen, but at the moment being covered seems to be working, and as long as you keep yourself shielded, you're feeling the heat and the, the pressure of sunlight all around you all the time. It's the most unnerving, like, going out in the daylight is suicidal, and you're just basically going to, like, one tear or anything gets through, and it's going to be a problem. But you're keeping your hood, like, out and maintaining as much shade as you can possibly muster. Luckily, the alleyway does not have any direct sunlight in it. But you can still feel the pressure of it, like a thickening of the atmosphere. Well, and you're all looking at this, but like I said, there's this subtle drawn archway. It's very, very pretty, actually, inside the side of this enormous structure that's very similar to one of the other skyscrapers that you'd get from Night City itself. And while you're looking at it, he's like, see? It left that behind as soon as it disappeared.
What?
The gate. And Silva's walking up to it. She's like, yeah, it's still here. It hasn't moved. In fact, it's different. It's not like a skip gate. Of course, the professor's a bit intrigued, and Brenner's is kind of listening with eager ears. Barnaby's like, oh my god. This is starting to give me a headache. He's like,
and Barnaby's like, he's doing hand signals back and forth to Barnaby, like, take positions of, like,
yeah,
on point, and he's like moving to the side, and he's just kind of going like, it's like, how this works. Get over there.
And then Silva turns back. She's like, I actually think I might be able to do something with this. Should we try?
I mean, the question you should be asking is it the smart thing to do?
She actually looks back at you and goes, I actually don't know.
I say do it. Let's see what goes on.
Barnaby's
So is this
listening
like
like,
the gate that we
just
opened?
does this. He's like, oh my god, you always say do it.
Well, yeah, this is how you learn and make friends.
And you just hear a click of the basket hilt going, fine.
Is this like the gate that we opened? It looks similar to that, or no? Because this is like an archway.
No, it's not like the gate you guys used at all. It's something else. And you can see that Silva walks up to it, and she pulls out that same talisman that she uses for skip gates. And the professor is like, my, what is that we have here? She's like, it's a gate key. She's like, he just kind of like turns his head and perplexed. A gate key? You mean this is so common from where you come from that you just have keys? She's like, well, I do, not them.
She's special.
He's just,
Can
the
I?
GIF I posted basically just typifies what Malcolm's doing right now.
yeah.
I'm like, I need to refresh my brain. I'm like, I want to do an insight check on this guy.
Okay,
But what would that
go
be?
for it.
perception.
Human perception. Yeah, there you go. Human perception, which I
Human
think Danny sucks at, or is he good at it? He's either one. He was either
Danny's
really bad.
So good at it.
I couldn't-
Yeah, empathy and intelligence. That's like his
Yeah.
bread and butter. Just want to figure. Yeah, 18. So
18,
yeah,
can-
Danny's
can-
just trying to figure
okay.
like, is this guy like, excellent? Yes, open the gate. Like,
Oh,
you know, is he just excited or is he like,
he's
yes, I've lured them to the trap?
based on your intuition at this point. It's a very strong consideration that he is just eager, excited, like like
Okay.
scientist about a discovery kind of excited. Nothing else.
Like no one has ever been this excited around Danny this long except for Hugh. And so that's why, like, and Hugh is flat out genuine, like, to a fault. So Danny's, yeah, he's got his suspicions, like, are we about to spring this dude from a trap that he's been in this whole time and we don't realize it? Like, so he's gonna just kind of shrug towards Silva and be like, I mean, if you can do it safely.
She's like, I never know anymore, especially with you guys. So I don't know. Hold on to your
Okay.
butts.
I'll
Like
back up, I guess.
she just kind of races it up, goes quiet into herself, starts speaking under her own breath, and it's a very long string of veritable arcane commands.
As Barnaby and Malcolm move to defensible positions.
Here's what's interesting. When she speaks, it does not translate. Despite the fact that she's speaking in these words. And he's just sort of like, oh, no, my girl. That is not quite the tone and inflection. No, I'm sorry. That seems a bit off. And she's just kind of like Laura's like, okay, now I'm going to have to start again. He's just like, you bring it at the end of that last phrase. Just, you have to bring it up, brighten it up a bit. And she's like I'm asking a question? And he's like, more or less. And she's like, okay, all right then. Like that, she just goes back to what she was doing and does the inflection as he was saying. There is this big kind of like snap in the air, and she's like, whoa, like that just kind of stands back. There is that, and the movement, of course, causes everybody to kind of like do that lurch, like getting ready. I mean, your blade comes sliding out of the sheath just a little bit more whenever that happens.
Danny's like, like magic, let's do it.
But she stands back and she's just staring at it. She's like, that felt better. That is working way better. Like you can see that the inside of the arch is pushing inward. Try to imagine like sliding in and become tiered inward. And then it opens up like a pair of doors. And sure enough, there is this incredibly gorgeous road leading into what looks to be some kind of wilderness. And you've got the professor. He's like, ah! Girl, you're amazing! Like,
He's all excited.
uh-huh.
I want
Malcolm
to do an
going,
awareness check on that.
On,
gate.
can we close it now?
She's just kind of like, what the hell? Yeah, she's like, this isn't a skip gate. This is something else. Something way else. Like, she's just looking around. Now you guys can roll an awareness again. Please.
Did you see the picture I posted, D? Can we have that creature show up?
I have to roll down quite a bit. Oh my god.
Malcolm don't see shit.
16 awareness for Danny.
Okay.
Oh, I guess 21 if it's magical.
Nat 1.
Oh god. Bill's just kind of like,
You're busy focusing on
16
other
as
stuff.
well.
yep.
Leviosa.
Saw Ronald Weasley. Yeah. Stupid.
Bottomless mimosa.
All right.
It's weird seeing your chroma on one and then like the image on the other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Danny's all in. His feelers are out there.
Well, everybody kind of takes a look
Silva.
in, and I have to roll out for everybody else. So we've got Barnaby and Silva. And, well, Barnaby really sees it. He's just sort of like, oh, shit, yeah, close it. Silva, close it, close it, close it, close it, close it. Like, he's just going to sort of like, everybody get the fuck out of the way. Move. Like that. He starts, like, pushing people to the side. There's a larger creature who stands up in towards the, who's on the roadway. It stands up and kind of looks burly, broad-chested, wide at the shoulder, lots of muscles. It has a very kind of almost campy look to it. But the skin is greenish. It looks like it's got larger, almost tusks at the bottom jaw, and its head is larger than it would need to be, like larger than a human's as well.
Moment Barnaby says that, he does combat sense awareness of 22 to kind of be on the same page.
Right. Well, you notice it, and you know it to be Fey, but it's definitely not one of the more friendly kind. It's
so blades drawn.
Yep. And she's just sort of like, okay, I got it, like that. And she's just basically trying to get it closed and going the other way. Fomorian. But it stands up, and you can hear it just sort of like, how'd it open? Like that. It basically makes that declaration as you guys are standing there. And of course,
Malcolm moves straight to the between the portal and Silva.
Right. And it goes into the center of the roadway while you guys are trying to get this closed. I got to roll on her end of it. Yep, she manages to pull that off. She actually uses the same total inflection, and it basically goes boom like that and starts to close rapidly. And it's just sort of like, like that. Just like you just hear it make that groaning noise, and it seals back up. And she's like, what the hell was that?
And then Malcolm's like sword extended going, the last reason you'd ever want to open up this specific portal again.
Salazar, did you know that was going to happen?
He like peeks around from behind like the group at this point with his, like his man standing right next to him. He's sort of like, no, I had no idea that there'd be some kind of orc waiting for us. It must have been on guard. That was a big one as well.
A big bugger.
Perhaps it was Goblet? It looks like it was waiting there for some time.
Is it still here, or?
Which is like, Silvus is like, I don't know. I shut the door.
Just Danny's asking, like, did it get through, or was it looking on the other side?
It was just on the other side at a distance away from the doorway.
Oh, okay.
You guys shut it. It was just going like, like that as you guys were closing the doors up.
Do you know where that was in all your...
He's like, no, but it hasn't
travel?
changed. Not even 1 iota since I saw it last 25 years ago. This is rather exciting. Oh, I don't really know exactly how to process this. It's definitely a guarded gateway. It has a guard. It has a guard, which means that there's more. There's more of these kinds of things. It also means that something is aware of them. Where do they lead? Why are they here? I'm like, he just kind of goes muddling to himself.
And then you just hear like the loud click of the blade going back into the sheath. Or you never open something like that up again.
And he's just sort of like, good sir, how is one to make any kind of discovery whatsoever if he's to just sit on his own seat and do nothing?
Just put like a post-it, do not open Soulgate.
So says the man that said this tribe looks friendly.
And this is like, you are friendly. I'm not dead yet, am I?
He just mutters, yet. And he just walks away.
So, for
No accounting for mood swings.
25 years, this has been here?
At the very least.
And you have you tried to open it?
He's like, I've made several attempts, but I've never seemed to have the exact makeup, the phrasing of that gate key that you have, girl. Silva, right? And she's like, uh-huh. He's like,
Not girl anymore.
And it's like, rather impressive work. It would appear that the gate key, however, is not in quite as good shape as it once was. I suspect that it probably doesn't have many charges left, does it? And she's just like, no, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, that was a bit more exhaustive than usual. And he just nods his head. It's like, as I suspected. quaint the device is, but antiquated, perhaps. Or maybe not as efficient as it possibly could be. She's like, you've got me. I don't make these things. I just use them.
Yeah, I don't want to see that thing again.
He looked friendly.
Okay, so let's see here. We've got. Oops, that was the wrong dice. Let's see, 50. Combat sense, please. Malcolm and Hugh.
Of course.
Boy,
Of course.
Barnaby's on fucking fire tonight. What is the deal?
'Cause
Need anything from Danny or no?
You definitely can, yeah. It'll actually be something you would be able to do. So you can roll on your combat sense.
Yeah, we're gonna use luck. Yeah, we're not having that.
Rolled a nat 1.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
18 for Danny. He's charging up his.
I hate it when it does this.
Okay, so 17 on his combat awareness.
Okay.
I got a 11.
Yeah, nobody else notices it except Barnaby, which is still impressive. Barnaby's like, do you guys smell that? He just kind of like, wait, I don't think it's smell, is it? He kind of looks around and is like, do you guys see that?
See what? Barnaby, you're freaking
So
me out.
I'm gonna roll another
Let's start
combat
with-
awareness the moment he says that.
Yep.
I was like,
Dang, with the 18, I still don't. Yeah, Danny's just gonna like try and
weaken
look
that
at what Barnaby's looking at.
so he does another combat awareness and he gets 22.
Noise.
And then there is this sense from the professor, Salazar, which is kind of like, wait. Oh, no. We need to leave right now. Let's go, shall we?
Lead the way, Professor.
He starts walking everyone out of the alleyway. That's when you start to notice the strange and peculiar lack of sync that everything has around you. There's a sort of disconnectedness that kind of comes of it. You can't really put your finger on it, and then becomes even more materialized as you come close to the edge of the mouth of this alleyway, when you realize that you're only seeing the faintest silhouettes of people walking on the street, and they're like see-through and transparent, and there's this kind of warble around everything at a greater distance as it goes out. And as the professor is speaking, he's like, the Umbral Realms, something is here, and it's very, very hungry.
Sword out.
We've already
What
been
is the Umbral Realm?
Think of it as a place that other creatures who normally are not seen, nor heard, nor even thought about, have a tendency to inhabit. And then when they're ready to eat, they bring it up. Because it's a trap, we're stuck.
Oh, so we did spring a trap, huh?
He's like, this is no trap sprung from the gate. No, this is something that's obviously must have smelled what it was that we were doing, and we whetted its appetite. And the professor's little crony, I don't know what else to call him right now, but the guy's just kind of like, sir, this is a bit odd. He's like, well, we're in danger, so keep your wits about you.
I like how nonchalant he is about it.
Yep. There are certain budding elements that kind of come towards the end of the alleyway from where you guys had come in, and there seems to be a bit of a shrinkage. Brenner's like, how do we escape this? How do we get out? This kind of strikes me almost like what do you call a Neverland? He looks over at Malcolm.
And he's just like, I, quite possibly. And at this point, he's activated both Warrior Instinct and Dead Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
So he's used 9. So his Warrior Instinct just boosts everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the Dead Lantern is the ability to find ways out.
Right. Yeah, you can find pathways through.
The light, the flame. So basically, he pulls up his lantern, and it's casting light everywhere. So the light of the flame goes from amber to blue. The illumination will show things that are normally invisible. This will also pick up psychic echoes of spirit or spirits that are in the immediate 4-meter radius of the light. As such, they will notice the bearer of the light, attack its host. Go figure. But it illuminates, shows portals and skip gates and entrances to Neverlands.
Whoa. Oh my god, okay.
Oh, that's beefy. Oh, set the timer.
Can somebody set a timer? I just took my glasses off, damn it.
Oh, sure. I can set a timer for you.
Oh. A strange time to use that, Game Cat. I'm sorry that I didn't catch it, but holy crap. That's a strange time to do it. But nonetheless, redeemed. Alright. Great. I'm going to have to, literally shove the dice into my eyeballs if I want to see anything. Well, okay. So, you're raising the lantern up. You're trying to find your way. Please be good.
Actually, no. He uses lantern because he only has a rate of use of 5. I'm sorry. That was on me.
Not that one. This one. Yeah, this will do.
Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, so he only has a lantern up because of the rate of use.
Right. All right, so you basically have got the lantern lit and moving up. When you do that, there's this writhing border and membrane that surrounds you. But it goes in and throughout the buildings and the rest of it. They're all warping inward like this. Like you're seeing everything in a fishbowl. And it's just contorting and bending everything around where you guys are standing. Whenever you shed this ghostly light on it, that becomes even more prevalent. Like there's kind of a reflection that kind of gets all twisted as it goes on the outside. And the professor's like looking at what you're doing. He's like, you all are very, very interesting. And just kind of like he's standing, it's like trying to put his back somewhere safe, but he can't seem to find it. Brenner,
he's like interesting, but Silva, find the gate, and he's just shining the light everywhere.
Right. Brenner's just sort of like, if that doesn't work, we're gonna have to work on this. Danny, I need your help.
Yeah, whatever I can do to help.
Well, come here now.
Like
that he goes over towards the professor at this point. So, Silva's trying to find the gate at this point. You see these things that are starting to emerge at the other end. They look vaguely humanoid, but they're not of a physical body. They're just kind of like these oddly, sort of strangely flat but luminescent in a pale light that kind of makes the skin crawl on your on your whole body, and they're just starting to fill up in the spaces down there, 1, then 2, then a few more. Yes, Bill, I think that's what you're doing.
I don't know.
He raised his hand.
I don't know whether you can see it. So he raised it. A mechanics question: if I've activated the Dead Lantern, can I hand it to another person and it still work?
Yeah, I think it's the lantern that you've infused. So yeah, I believe it would do that. Yeah.
So he just basically hands the lantern to Silva.
Mm-hmm.
Hold
and and he's just like, find the gate, and then he just pulls back and has the torch on his shoulder and his arm.
Uh-huh. All right, so you're kind of moving in that, trying to position yourself in an offensive capacity. While you're doing that, the professor is, trying to keep himself in a maneuvered position. Barnaby is protecting Danny now, who is over with Brenner. And we've got these kinds of, these parties of things that are happening. When it comes to Barnaby, he's protecting Danny. Let's gotta make sure I got Hugh. What are you going to be doing while this is happening and everybody's kind of getting into position here?
Crying in a corner. No. I'm gonna just try to stay alert. I'll keep out my taser and I don't really have much in the mystical arts. I know about stuff, but that doesn't. I'm a layman. I'll have my my monocle down just so I can see if that helps me to see anything.
Yeah.
So, question about planar intuition.
Mm-hmm.
It says whenever traversing the realms beyond the prime material, you have a bonus to checks that help you navigate planes or neverlands. This also means naturally being able to sense the doorways leading in and out of those dimensions.
Yep.
Did something like that apply here? Since
Yeah, this
it's
is
like a
you're
phase
already
shift?
you're in another dimension of a dimension. It's been multi-layered. So yeah.
It's okay. So I have a +3 to navigate. What is that on top of?
In other words, you would just roll your awareness, you get that +3 attached to it.
Okay, and it would just kind of help,
Yeah,
like,
guide you
point me
along.
in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay. So Danny's gonna do that. Like he's gonna, Brenner's like, Danny, help me with this, and Danny's gonna like, okay, I'm trying. Like he is
Yeah.
freaking out. He does not want vaguely humanoid shapes that have a flapping sound coming anywhere near him. He doesn't even like, normal humanoids coming near him in many cases. So yeah, I'll do an awareness check with that +3 bonus on it
Yep.
to try and be assisting in some way.
I can see him like face fucking his dice over there.
Yeah, because I can't see anything. I can't see shit.
D, are you getting into that dice?
Yeah.
Your timer is up, by the way. You can see again.
You can see again.
Okay, so
All right.
I got a 20 on my regular awareness +3 planar intuition. So, Danny's antenna is fully sprung, and he is in like his eyes are wide. He's like got his feelers out there. Yeah, he is like, I'm trying to sense where to go. And then Silva's got a cool lantern.
Ooh. What's this like? Kind of half experimenting here.
Oh, I sound far away.
You need to get yourself one of these types of mics here.
Well,
right?
I have a really nice Yeti mic over here that I use for work.
Well, just buy another one and get it in your home setup.
Oh, all right.
Okay,
They were on sale last week. You
so
know about that.
yeah, I mean, you're sensing him to go in that particular direction, and you have Brenner raising his arms up, and he's doing very complicated motions with his own hands, and he's speaking in this language. Again, it doesn't translate when he's speaking. Whenever this language comes out, it is absolutely indecipherable, despite the fact that you have this charm on you. And while he's doing that, there is this pulse, and he's just like, this is going to take me a minute. And he's just like trying to get this work together, and he's trying to do something big, it feels like. These entities that you see through your monocle, Hugh, are really just distorted and weird. They're coming through as almost like skeletal, vaguely undead-like. When they're kind of materializing, you can see the illumination is actually drawing all kinds of variant matter to them as they're being composed on the fly in this sort of in-between. But it's creating sort of vague structures of what human beings might look like, but a lot of the features seem to be exaggerated. But what isn't necessarily anything less than mildly horrifying is the fact that they all have like these chattering teeth.
Nope. Danny is not okay with that.
And did you say that they're on the outside of the bubble or on the inside?
No, they're on the inside. Where you guys were standing is where they're formulating and they're coming into being. They're starting to kind of piece together, so that illumination is drawing in that matter, and it's starting to become much more sophisticated. You've got Malcolm in wait while Brenner is trying to do something. We don't really know what. Danny's trying to help, and you can see where he's just sort of like, you're like, I'm trying to sense a way out of here, and he's just kind of like, good, point me in the direction. It looks like she might be also looking for the same thing. Like, and she's moving, and that's in a similar
Gonna, like,
way that you
grab
are.
him by the shoulders and like pivot him.
Well, you could be like, that way, like.
At this point, Malcolm has basically engaged Warrior Instinct as well.
So you're ready to fight.
Oh, he's charged up. His eyes went completely black.
Yep.
Oh, dang.
Scary.
Yeah, we have our own terror on our side.
Indeed. Okay, go back to this, and while this is interesting, it is not what I want.
Banana.
Yeah, right? Not that one. Not that one. I think yeah. Alright. So, alright, you guys are pressing forward. Now, everybody's actually sort of moving in a direction. You kind of have an exit strategy. You're all kind of going to it. The Professor, Salazar, and his friend are like kind of closer to Brenner and towards the back, near the boundary of whatever this strange Neverland is. And you're trying to move your way out. And you can hear Salazar's like, oh, shit. Like, there's like anything faster would be better than this. And he's,
Wow.
And Malcolm still can continue to intercede himself between.
all right. This is where it's going to get kind of interesting. Okay, so these things push forward and start moving at a lurching run. And right now, Malcolm and Hugh are the only two people that are focused on the fight in this sense.
Malcolm engages.
Yep. Oh, and Barnaby as well. Yeah. He's gonna just take shots
you
when
want
he can.
combat sense awareness for
Nope.
initiative?
We're running it my usual way. I'm just gonna at this point, you guys all know when combat is gonna be happening. So
Yep.
it's a clash. So I just need to know, Bill, you're gonna be trying to meet them midway, or are you just gonna wait until they hit?
Oh, he's going to meet them headway.
That's what I thought. Hugh?
I'm gonna just stay defensive and protect our civilians, I guess. That's not the right
squishies.
word, but
Yeah. All right, so you're on the defensive, keeping guard with the rest of the group in the back. Right. So as you're moving, Malcolm, you're just going like that. You just go straight forward towards your targets. You're bringing the sword to bear. You hear the crack of shots as Barnaby lays out several shots from where he's standing, and he's doing it from an aimed position. Pop, pop, pop. Nope, I'm rolling luck on that one. Fuck that. I noticed stuff, guys, but my fucking gun jammed. Shit. Yeah, no. Definitely a little bit of luck for him. All right, so yeah, he takes his 3 shots. They kind of, they go right through whatever sort of matter they're kind of accumulating at this point. Malcolm, you meet them just after those cracks go off.
Okay. How many targets again?
Many.
Many. Okay, so he's not going to attack any one target. He's just going to attack 3 separate targets.
Yeah.
Because Warrior Instinct bumps him up to 3 attacks. So
am I out of
we'll do
sync?
attack, and we'll do 3 different targets.
Oh, there is a little bit of audio desync.
Yeah, I suppose that'll happen. We'll keep working out the
So
kinks as we
he
go along here.
has plus 5.
Rich environment.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so that's his first roll. That's the first target he attacks. That's the second target he attacks. So 28, 29, and 25.
Okay, 28, 29, 25? Yeah.
Oh dang, those are good rolls.
Yeah.
Those are good rules.
Yeah, it's because he
Yeah.
took. It's because I took the bloodline power of Dead Warrior
Yeah.
in addition to Warrior Instinct. So Warrior Instinct bumps all my melee attacks to +3 and gives me an extra melee attack. This is also in addition to the fact that I have fencing, which gives me +2 with my weapon of choice, sword. So he gets a +5 to his 16 to begin with. And whatever damage he does, there's an additional +5.
Right. So he goes in there swinging. And
So 21 damage per hit.
right, you're just going like that, and your cuts hit true. They make impact, and there's something subtle, almost like bone. When you draw the blade free of your first target, you can't help but notice the frost that's on the blade, and you go striking again, and the frost increases. And by the third stroke, there is a lot of frost that's going almost down to the hilt. Like, it's
Nice.
causing that to happen as you're going along. So you go cut, 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 and you're just standing there in a poised position waiting to see what the rest of them will do. They crumble out from the impact of these cuts, but there's still plenty more of them at this point.
Yeah, so Malcolm just kind of bellows back with, sword poised. He's just poised like this, just like with the shield. And it's like, sooner than later.
Right. Well, and again, at this point, we have to go back to Brenner. Danny, I want you to roll your evocation, please, because Brenner is just sort of like, I need you to just reinforce what it is I'm doing. Concentrate on my field of energy and pour yourself into it. I will guide the power you bring.
What's my target?
It's going to be target 8.
Okay. Oh wait, Danny's gonna use his bracelet.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You're just going to pump automatic successes into that. Nice.
Yeah, so I totally forgot. It's been so long since I've used it. So, Danny is gonna use his magic bracelet and just pop 3 successes.
That is good stuff.
I like when
yeah, I'm just gonna do 3 successes. Like, so we'll
Yep.
just pretend I didn't roll, because that's...
Okay. No worries. Yeah, you just employ your implement. You can feel the
Yeah.
like that. There's this minor pulse that comes out from that, and you just kind of do that. You can hear Brenner just go like that. He takes in a deep breath because he wasn't expecting it to be that like rush.
Yeah.
While you're kind of doing this, you can hear the impact of swordplay happening down the alleyway as Malcolm is doing his best. Barnaby cracks off another 3 shots, trying to cover Barnaby's flanks. And while he's doing that, you can see like spitting matter where these bullets are making impact, one taking it in the head, and it basically just does that shatter crumble out of the way there. But they're starting to accumulate, and they're coming in faster, almost like the beginning of some kind of wave or a tide that's starting to like fulminate and get bigger. While you guys are pushing through, go ahead and make your secondary attacks there, Bill.
Bill. My secondary attacks.
Yeah, it's your attacks again. Because they're basically being kept at bay.
We're gonna do something.
You guys are in the
about
midst
that
of a
one in
clash,
second.
actually.
Okay, so he's gonna use 2 luck to split those up to 22 and 22.
Okay.
Your attack bonus is so high, I didn't realize that you had botched.
Right?
I was like, those numbers are huge. From
They're
our fairy
huge.
numbers.
Yeah, 22, 22, 29, 22.
Yep, 22, 29, 22. Okay.
And he's doing it the same way as separate targets. He's trying to basically dance between the line,
Right.
just to kind of keep it back.
All right, so...
Congratulations on entering Dark Tide to our game, by the way.
Not like I was trying to do that necessarily.
Right.
Well, you start pushing these guys, and like I said, your strokes hit again. Now, 2 of them are complete ringers. One of them manages to come in close and gets close enough that it makes some a brushing contact. Right here, as you're doing a sweep, it comes up underneath, and it's sort of like some kind of a lash, or you don't know quite what it was, but something extended out of it. Now that the forms themselves are becoming even more defined, they look like almost like stone skeletal animated golems of a sort, but they are weirdly and Silicon Valley kind of like real and unreal simultaneously. Like their symmetry is raw, wild to look at.
While this is happening, as they're becoming more solid, as he observes the strikes,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to spend. Oof. What happens when he uses all his SFR as a vampire?
You frenzy. It's not good.
So he's not going to do that.
Get thirsty.
Yeah,
So,
you can burn through SFR fast as a vampy. You get lots of cool shit, but you burn out quick.
Yeah, we're not going to do that last thing I was thinking of. So go on.
Right. Well, the thing that touched you, as it turns out, happens to be a smaller one of these things, whatever they are. They're like skeletal and sort of like glossy bodies, kind of like hunched together. This one's probably no larger than an 8-year-old child. And it had like flexed out with something like a tongue, which struck you at the side. In this case, what kind of armor?
Dodge?
Huh?
Dodge?
Yeah, you can go for it.
Yeah, we're going to dodge.
Dodge.
Well, it's more of a parry. So he's dodging with his sword. So 19.
It's casual.
It manages
19
to
parry.
barely get through the defense. It rolled high enough. So you
Okay.
you try to get your parry out of the way, but it was just fast enough out of your reflexes that it didn't quite get stopped. What's the armor you're wearing?
Armor is 24, resilience 15, integrity 58.
Okay. Well, the impact strikes, you can feel a thump, and there's definitely this sort of grotesque sensation that hits. And you're undead, and that's kind of hard to actually push grotesque. But you can feel it kind of squirming on you, whatever it is, whatever this creature is kind of like leaving something behind. You don't know if there was a wound that got breached there, that it would be a problem, but you know for sure that none of them behind you need to get hit with that. It doesn't, yeah. So the armor soaked all of it, which is good.
Okay, excellent. So he
We're
just
still using
maintains.
the old armor rules.
He's maintaining the defensive line.
Right. Well, now, as you're kind of pushing this through, Hugh, are you wanting to just continue to be on defense while you're with your taser, or do you want to try and do something? Because at present, it looks like he could possibly be overwhelmed, but he's managing to keep them sort of at bay in this sort of pinched alleyway.
I guess I'll take out my my mini-max and see if I can, obviously not shoot near him, but, you know, fend off ones that are coming around him, kind of thing.
Right.
Let's see here. Alright, so I've got handgun is 11.
Yep.
So that's good.
Yeah. Means you're making average shots, most likely.
And I guess I'll do, let's see, my rate of fire is 1 to 3, so I'll do 3 shots.
All right, go for it. Yeah, in this case, you just roll a single make a single roll. It's going to be treated as a burst. Blap, blap, blap.
Oh, well. I'll take the biggest one then. The 9.
Just roll, dude. One roll.
I did.
No, you rolled 3.
I know.
You're not just going to take the biggest one. Sorry, bruh. Roll
Take the
roll
biggest one.
once.
There. 14.
14? Okay. That's good enough. I mean, like, target-rich environment, you're not hitting Bill. That's a good thing. So you crack off 3 shots of your own, it's starting to become cacophonous in here because there's like this sound of rushing movement, and then the sounds of gunfire, and then a lot of the conflict that's happening with Malcolm. But that becomes subjugated entirely with, I don't know. It's subjugated entirely with what's going on here, and the main thing that you happen to notice is that the air becomes denser already on top of itself, and then there's this kind of pressurized explosion. What everybody can see when you're paying attention to this is that you've got Danny kind of doing this number where the magic's in flow. There, with you and your eyesight, you're watching this. You're seeing an outpour of like ether coming from you, funneling through Brenner as he's basically doing some really precise work, and that is flooding out towards where Silva is, and she's basically trying to find something. She gets locked into place as her talisman goes it glows really bright for a minute. She's like, what the, she just kind of happens to be looking back. There is several arcs of electricity that actually vault from her talisman, hitting something in the area, causing this thing to peel wide open. On the other side, multiple startled individuals as they go from transparent to completely opaque like they're supposed to be. And they're just kind of like that. They don't know what's going on. And she's just kind of standing there like that, trying to figure out what's happening with her talisman, because that's never happened before. And Brenner's just like, move now! Like this, that's all he's got, is he's basically telling people to escape, and everybody can start heading out that direction.
Yeah, for sure.
And Malcolm's
Did they
just doing
settle a veil over us basically, and she's like cutting her way out?
In a sense, I mean, that would not be a hard sell with what you're looking at.
Oh,
You don't know for sure, but that's kind of what it seems like.
So Malcolm's doing a fighting retreat
Yep.
because he's not going to turn his back.
Yep.
He's too closely engaged. We'll do that 10 in a minute.
oh, dang! You killed, just bitch slapped somebody.
Okay, so 32, 29, 26 for a fighting retreat.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're hopping back and cutting, and they're trying to get after you, and they started to become more incensed and more intrigued, and now with the actual gap opening up, they're charging in hard and trying to get inside your defenses, and you're whipping fast. What we're looking at when Malcolm is backing away and doing his defensive retreats, he's going so fast, he's hitting several opponents in a row in very rapid succession, so where you can see the frosty blade that he's got right now kind of whizzing through and leaving tracers of mist because of how cold it is.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and it's actually starting to affect your hand. It's going down onto your arm and everything else as you're actually pulling it back. But you're immune to pain, so...
But not damage.
Yeah, if he keeps going at this rate, it will start to actually damage him. That's the problem, because your fingers and hand will start to stiffen into a solid piece.
Oh, that would suck.
Yup. So, when we start to withdraw, you've got Salazar just kind of go like, I don't know how you're doing that, but well done! Like...
Oh, Salazar.
And the other guy behind him, by the way, as you guys have been cracking shots, fighting, he's been going, ah, 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 like he can't process what's happening at all. This is not his field. And Salazar is actually kind of barely keeping himself together in the mix, but he's just kind of like talking his way through it. I've got to roll one other last thing here to see if the environment changes for any reason as you guys are making your escape.
Cannot hear you.
Ooh.
You went very quiet.
Yeah, like when you turned away, you basically became silent.
Oh, that's fine. I wasn't saying anything.
Oh.
Oh.
I was just basically like, he's just holding himself together and the rest of it. Got alert, need to turn volume down. Oh, he's probably talking about himself. Anyway, the but you guys go piercing on through, and when there is this kind of like moment as you guys are pushing through, Brenner shoves Danny forward with Barnaby as you guys are moving out, and Malcolm, you'll basically be last man taking rear guard and keeping everything at bay, and Silva will follow you through and hopefully close everything out. When you guys come out the other side, Salazar's just breathing heavy. His assistant, or whoever this guy is just trying to keep himself from utterly shutting down. And when you come to that and it snaps shut, you can see a whole horde of these things, like trying to come at the aperture that was created. When it closes, her talisman just goes like that and blows into hot sparks all over the sidewalks. And she's like, oh!
Wow, okay, we're not going to use that again.
Now, none of you can see Malcolm's eyes because he's still hooded, but you just see like a heaving. Not like he can breathe. He can't breathe because you've never seen him breathe, but it's like he's just hunched over and just because he spent a lot of his blood pool. So he's just like the only thing you get from him right now is not the soldier, not the fighter, but the one time you remember him being coated in blood of the gangsters,
right?
And how that was. So you just see him just
right. Well, and even worse is that you're in a threatening situation again because you're now out in natural sunlight and you're in the shade, but there's just a lot of pressure. And Sal's just like, all right, I think it's time for us to leave. Yes, yes, indeed. Like, he just kind of goes, like, running back towards his vehicle. What everybody will notice before we actually call this one good, since it's actually top of the hour here, what you'll notice is that when you guys came through the aperture, you look behind where you came through, no disturbance whatsoever. There's no sign that anything that you guys were doing even happened. It's just like you came through. Where you were was not here.
Danny finds that interesting and terrifying.
Yeah. And you will all make a break for the vehicle to get off the street, as it were.
Yeah. Sure. Get the hell out of Dodge.
All right, well, we can do another 25 years without going to investigate that thing, Salazar.
He's just like, you might be correct. Like, that just... not really willing to argue the point.
For sure.
And his hand's still been frozen on the sword.
Yeah, it's still frozen on the blade.
So
as a matter of fact, your fingers are almost barely unmovable.
He's in the car with the blade still drawn.
Yep.
Because he can't.
Yeah.
Danny can, like, do he's got, like, the warmth
spell. And that would definitely be effective. Go ahead and go for
warmer.
It. Yep.
Yeah, it's like heat. It's not heat metal. It's like heat.
It just generate heat. It's called warmth.
Yeah.
He creates a vicinity of warmth.
I'm just going to do that.
Yeah. Well, and because it's not your entire body, you can actually reduce... what's the normal target for it?
Let's see. 7.
Okay, you can lower it down to 6. It actually drops by 1 because you're just trying to do it in a specific area.
Target 6. And I got a crit on it, so...
Yeah, well... Yeah, you basically do that, and the heat causes it to go like that, but you manage to do it in such a way that it doesn't crack his sword.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure Malcolm is very thankful for.
And it actually just drops to the ground.
Yeah.
Because the mechanics of his hand are just like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Danny's just gonna be like, here, let me help, and he's just gonna,
And then you just kind of see this hooded individual just still kind of doing this hunched breathing, just like.
Yep. And that is where we'll have to leave it for now, as you guys try to understand what the hell that was.
Nice. I mean, scary, but that's Shadows.
Yes, indeed. Fun. Yeah.
That was fun.
I'm really happy with this new setup. Minimal errors and problems, I think it actually worked out pretty well, and it looks like
for
everybody
a
was in
first
agreement.
try, considering.
Yeah.
I sent you some videos. I found some. Apparently, this audio desync is not uncommon for NDI streams. So that'll be something to research.
Yep,
later on.
we'll keep
And
digging
maybe
in and
that'll
make it
fix
better.
up, our sound issues too.
Yep. Agreed. All right then. Well, in that case, yeah, I guess we'll see everybody here next Thursday for more Shadows.
But you can also stick around on the channel to, do the Myriad Circle for the podcast. Once or twice a week. You could do Dark Tide gameplay. I mean, the content here is all over the place.
Yeah, we're getting all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and if you want to support the channel, you can find us on Patreon under Decode, or you can check us out on Twitter, Shadows_RPG.
We got all the places.
All the places.
Yeah, we're hitting it everywhere. Alrighty then, gents. Good evening.